Today on Commander Replay, Vaevictis Asmati the Dire is gonna party all night long, drinking Surge and eating Doritos. Find out if we can Primal Surge our way to victory in this double feature, or go straight into a sugar coma. Next on Commander Replay. Welcome back everyone, playing some Vaevictis Surge. We ended up keeping an opening hand that looks like this, and we are on the play. So we actually have a Miri's Guile in our opener, which I really like. That's going to set up our following turns really nicely. So let's play this Stomping Ground, pay the 2 life, get the Miri's Guile down, and pass the turn. In the opening of the game, Derevi mulled to 5, and Kozilek mulled to 6. As I mentioned, we're playing Vaevictis Asmati the Dire, and we will be facing off against Atarka World Render, Derevi Imperial Tactician, and Kozilek the Great Distortion. Some very strong opponents in Derevi and Kozilek. I've made the mistake of underestimating Kozilek in the past, and that's gotten me killed before, so definitely something to keep in mind that Kozilek, even though is probably the least scary of the legendary Eldrazi, is still a legendary Eldrazi and is still really scary. Avacyn's Pilgrim coming down for the Derevi opponent. The thing I don't love about this Derevi matchup right here is that our deck is very light on removal, just due to the nature that we're playing a Primal Surge deck, and there aren't like a ton of great options when it comes to removal that exists in permanents. Although I suppose I could probably do a little bit of work to better ourselves in that department. I believe we have Ugin. I don't think we have Oblivion Stone. That might be a good one to add in. So we'll have to take a look at that. Back to our turn, we get a Miri's Guile trigger. Use the ability. All right, we got an It that betrays a... Ooh, there's Primal Surge. Likelihood that there's going to be a wheel effect. Probably only from Atarka. I don't imagine that Derevi's really running wheels. So, It that betrays right there. We'll draw the Primal Surge right now and just hope that we don't get wheeled for any reason. So we draw the Primal Surge. Let's play the Badlands. Play the Sakura Tribelder. And we'll wait to crack. Man, if we can wait 2 more turns to get Marin down before cracking our Sakura Tribelder, I think that'll do a lot of really good things for us. Here's Quirion Elves. So, funny story, when I was editing this deck shortly before I started playing, as some Lightning Greaves come down for the Derevi opponent, I was going through the deck just to check over everything, and I realized that there was a Sylvan Tutor left in the deck list from the original build that I did, and we would have been sorely disappointed if I had left that in the deck after resolving Primal Surge. I have actually resolved Primal Surge in some of the games that I've played before this one, so we are all clear. We know that there are no other spells in the deck that will interrupt the process, so just a funny little story that almost got through. It's a good thing I QA'd my own deck. And right here, we'll crack the Sakura Tribeld. Ooh, I didn't want to crack that just yet. Well, that's fine. Let's get a Swamp. Brings it back to our turn. Miri's Guile trigger. Wood Elves are good. 2 lands and Wood Elves. Let's go land, Wood Elves on top. Play the Wood Elves. Let's get our Taiga, and then we'll play the Cinderglade. Yeah, we'll just tap out and pass. By doing that, by the way, there's a trick called F8 on Magic Online, which is if you don't have any abilities or mana that you can activate, it will automatically pass the turn so that you don't have to click OK to every single trigger of your opponents. It is a time-saving device. Periodically, that question comes up in the comments. Anyway, let's actually take a look at what Vaevictis Asmati the Dire does. It's 3 black, green, red for a 6/6 flying. Whenever it attacks, for each opponent, choose a permanent that player controls. That player sacrifices it. Then that player reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent, they put it into play. So Vaevictis cares a lot about permanents. That goes hand in hand with Primal Surge, which is now in our hand, which also wants you to play entirely permanents. So the two are like a match made in heaven. And it just seems like the perfect marriage of these 2 cards. Like, there have been Primal Surge decks in the past, but Vaevictis really wants you to go in the direction of Primal Surge. So that's what we're doing today. As opponent lays down an Artifact Mutation on the Lightning Greaves of Derevi, and then Derevi just scoops it up. Not able to deal with the removal after the mull to 5, and they're just going to piece it out. Semblance Anvil coming down for the Kozilek opponent. Fun little card. They exile a Mirror Retriever with it, so artifact spells will cost them 2 less. Back to our turn, Miri's Guile trigger. Kind of hoping for a land on top. Yeah, we got some lands. All right, so do we need Aggravated Assault? I don't feel like we need Aggravated Assault right now. So we'll put Aggravated Assault there. We'll grab a fetch land just in case we run into our Crucible of Worlds for any reason. That's a good thing to have. Crack the Polluted Delta. Let's get a Bayou. So I think right here, I'm going to cast Vaevictis. And my plan is going to be, this turn we cast Vaevictis. Next turn we cast Marin. attack with Vaevictis, sacrifice the Wood Elves, get a counter on Marin, and then we can start recurring some creatures, particularly our mana dorks, to get us up to the 10 mana we need for Primal Surge. No attacks right now, don't need to make any enemies just yet. Basically just kind of want to stall out for as long as I can and then lay down this Primal Surge. It is unlikely that our opponents will have counter spells other than if Kozilek is in play. So we've got some time. We're at 6 mana currently. Ooh, and Atarka misses a land drop. Crystal Vein for our opponent, and an Golem's Eye. Ooh, followed by an Unwinding Clock. Untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. Pretty good. Back to our turn, we get another Miri's Guile trigger. More lands. We're at 6 mana currently. Does 7 mana mean anything to us? Not at this exact second, so I think keep Aggravated Assault to the bottom. Do we just go for the Temple? I guess we go for the Temple. No, we'll wait on the Temple. Overgrown Tomb can come in tapped as well, so I don't think it matters too much. So looks like we're going to get the chance to execute the plan we talked about last turn. We're going to cast Marin right here. Attack with Vaevictis. Get the Vaevictis trigger. Shoot the Wood Elves. Shoot the Unwinding Clock. Yeah, we get you the other stuff. Right now I'm recognizing that we're very far ahead of our opponents. So if we punish them too much with Vaevictis, they'll just scoop. So that's one of those things. Marin gets counter on it. We get the Temple off the top of our deck. That's fun. That works out. Put the triggers on the stack. I just don't feel like we need Aggravated Assault right now. We only have one part of that combo, so we'll just put it to the bottom. Really more interested in trying to get this Primal Surge resolved. So Kozilek takes the hit, goes to 34 and 6 Commander. We will play the Overgrown Tomb tapped, and we'll pass the turn like that. Currently on 8 mana. Let's get the Wood Elves. Vaevictis has an interesting dynamic. If you get really far ahead, like we are right now, and you get Vaevictis down before your opponents really have much going on, and they don't have removal for it, you can start picking apart some key pieces that they've played. Like, if you start blowing up your opponent's artifact ramp, it's going to set them pretty far behind, especially if they don't have anything else down. So that is definitely one of the good things about Vaevictis. Now, they could always flip into something nasty as well. It depends on what kind of deck they're playing, if they have a lot of spells versus a lot of permanents. The other thing I noticed that Vaevictis, in an earlier game that I played, Vaevictis couldn't stay in play. I recast it like 3 times, and it would just immediately die every single time. Never resolved the trigger on it, so... Yep, there's a Decimate. I've been getting pounded by Decimate just all day. That's the 3rd Decimate that I've been hit with today, playing just this deck. We lose Badlands, Miri's Guile. And opponent loses the Resemblance Anvil. So the question is, how can I get this Wood Elves to die? I think I need to add a High Market to this deck so that we can sacrifice our creatures randomly if we need to. Brings it back to our turn. There's a Harvester of Souls. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Things a bit awkward now. We're going to miss land drops this turn, which doesn't make me super happy. But what we can do is lay down our... Oh, we also lost our commander, by the way, to that Decimate. If we play the Wood Elves first, then we can still cast Liliana. So we'll play the Wood Elves. We need an untapped land, Basic Forest. Play the Liliana. We're back up to 8 lands. We're going to search our library for... Actually, with 8 lands, we just need to get a Mana Crypt. So put our Mana Crypt on top. No attacks. No need to be risking Marin. And Marin's going to get back our Sakura Tribe Elder. Temple coming down for our opponent. They'll get to scry one time. Opponent actually isn't that far away from Kozilek. Kozilek takes 10. If they sacrifice their Crystal Vein, they have 9 currently. If they play a land next turn, they can actually sack the Crystal Vein to get Kozilek into play. Likelihood that they have a 10-drop in their hand to counter the Primal Surge is maybe not so likely. Opponent gonna play an Archwing Dragon and swing it into our Liliana. That seems fine. Would prefer if they don't cast Kozilek this turn. And the Archwing Dragon will get returned to the Atarka's hand. Here comes Hedron Archive. Okay, that means no Kozilek this turn. So things are looking good. There's the Mana Crypt. Play the Mana Crypt. Alright, time to feed the rush. Here comes Primal Surge. Oh, it's gonna take so much clicking to resolve this thing. You guys don't even know. Here we go. Start the clicking. So we've resolved every card from our deck. Now we just need to get through. We need to stack all the triggers.
It's a fully loaded citrus soda with carbos. Feed the rush.
So many triggers. And Atarka opponent scoops it up. Yeah, it takes a really long time to execute this combo on Magic Online. Alright, so opponent appears to have walked away while we were taking forever to resolve all those triggers, and I don't blame them. It takes a really long time to go through that Primal Surge combo of flipping over your deck and then resolving every single trigger. on Magic Online. So we're going to scoop it up right here, but easy lethal on our opponent. I really don't think that there's anything they could have in instant speed colorless to stop all of this. So I think we're good. We're going to scoop it up right here. Don't feel like waiting for our opponent. Primal Surge combo for the win. Alright, welcome back everyone. Playing some more Vaevictis Surge. Take a look at our opening hand. We've got 1 land, 2 lands. Ooh, 2 lands and a scroll rack, you say. Scroll rack's pretty cool in this deck. We don't really need Fervor. Let's mulligan. Yeah, I like this a lot better. So we've got Soul Ring, Awakening Zone, Liliana Vess, Black Market. Yeah, feeling much better about this. Let's keep that. Take a look at what we're facing. Looks like some pretty solid opponents. Got General Tazri, Inala Archmage Ritualist, and Karametra God of Harvests. Yeah, pretty good opponents right there. General Tazri can run you over, Inala can do some crazy combo-y value stuff, and Karametra also just really powerful, ramps like crazy. So I like this hand especially because we have Liliana Vess, which means we can tutor for our Primal Surge, and then all we have to do is just worry about getting to 10 mana. And with this Awakening Zone, that may actually not take that long. Ponder coming down for the Inala opponent. They'll get to mess with their top 3 cards, put them back in any order, and draw a card. So I've been playing this deck a bit, and what I've noticed is, if your opponents know what's coming, this deck is much, much harder to play. They basically just destroy all of your permanents, and this deck is really bad against control decks. They have a lot of spot removal because most of our stuff is pretty big and expensive, and if they can just go 1-for-1 spot removal on it and they're spending like 2 mana, that means that we're losing all of the tempo. Let's play the Wooded Foothills, crack the Wooded Foothills, we're gonna need some black mana. Let's get Bayou. Bayou is the one we really want. Play the Soul Ring, and then pass the turn. Lightning Greaves for the General Tazri opponent. Oh boy. If you guys haven't faced General Tazri before, it can just run you over. And I'm going to play a Stony Brook Banneret. Reduces the cost of Merfolk and Wizard spells by 1. And it's got Island Walk. Argothian Enchantress coming down for the Karametra opponent. So it looks like Karametra is going to be on the Enchantress plan. Whether they're doing the Enchantress Voltron plan, I'm not sure. But we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Right here, let us play the Verdant Catacombs. Cast our Awakening Zone. And then we'll crack this Verdant Catacombs, get one of our tap lands. Looks like we need some red mana. Sheltered Thicket. And pass the turn. Maybe that wasn't the best. We're kind of caught in the middle between Black Market and Heb. Probably should have got another black mana. Yeah, that wasn't the best. Hopefully we draw a swamp off the top. Whoops. That was a misuse of the fetch. Adim Occultist coming down. Put target creature card from an opponent's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control if its converted mana cost is less than or equal to the number of allies you control. Yeah, seems reasonable in an ally deck. And it's got boots on it. Worn Power Stone coming down for the Inala. And going to swing into us for 1. Yep, we will take that. Ooh, Stony Silence. Yeah, it's going to hurt our Soul Ring a whole bunch. Brings it back to our turn. We get an Awakening Zone trigger. Ooh, we draw a fetch. That is most helpful. Crack this fetch. And definitely get bad lands because we need black and red. Next turn, we can potentially get down Black Market or Neheb. I actually like Black Market a lot because of the Awakening Zone. Also, there's always that random chance if someone starts blowing up creatures, then we'll get counters for that as well. But with the Awakening Zone, then yeah, we can start putting counters on Black Market ourselves, which is really nice. Recruiter of the Guard for the General Tazri opponent. They tutor for a Hada Freeblade. Cast the Hada Freeblade. Hada Freeblade gives +1/+1 for each time an ally enters the battlefield. And Inala just scoops it up. Wonderful. I cannot seem to get a 4-player game going with this deck. Been trying all night, and it's just been early Scoop City. Nyx Fleece Ram coming down, and they'll get to draw a card with the Enchantress. Back to our turn, we get an Awakening Zone trigger. Ooh, there's a Signet. Play the land. Yeah, let's get Black Market down this turn. Gonna wait on a Signet. So Black Market into play. If we get Shieldred down, Shieldred will be really good with Black Market. That's a Brago. Ooh. Nyx Fleece Ram gonna gain some life. And Karametra scoops it up. So a wonderful game going right here. We'll crack the Eldrazi spawn, put a counter on the Black Market. Basically trading a colorless mana into a black mana on our next turn. Seems fine to me. Back to our turn, Awakening Zone trigger. Get another Awakening Zone. Get another token. Oh, that means that Soul Ring works again. So we get 1 black mana from Black Market. How much mana do we have? We have 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total mana. Let's get down the Rakdos Signet. Let's get down this Dragon's Horde. Then play Liliana Vess. Get another counter on Black Market. Use Liliana Vess. Get our Primal Surge. Primal Surge is on top. Pass the turn. And we have exactly 10 mana. We'll have 11 with the next Awakening Zone trigger. So as long as all of our mana permanents survive back to our turn, Primal Surge is going to come down next turn. It's turn 6. That seems pretty early. Opponent's going to force us to discard. Actually really lucky that Liliana Vess puts the card on top of our deck and not into our hand in this particular instance. Opponent's going to move the boots over to Brago. Do your worst, opponent. Brago at us, and 3 damage to the Liliana Vess. That will take it down. Opponent did not grab our Neheb the Eternal beforehand like they probably should have. Get a little bit of extra mana out of it. And it's going to re-trigger all of the ally abilities again. Yeah, that ally's opponent's turn 6. They're not far from taking off. Man, if we were doing anything other than casting Primal Surge next turn, we would probably just lose this game. Opponent gets a Harabaz Druid. Makes a bunch of mana, equal to the number of allies. Plays the Druid. Brings it back to our turn. Use the Awakening Zone. Draw a Primal Surge. Get some black mana. Play the Primal Surge.
Feed the rush. Oh god. Oh, that wasn't a good idea. That really wasn't a good idea. Oh.
And opponent scoops it up. Doesn't want to wait for all the triggers to go through. I do not blame them. It takes a while. Alright, so Vaevictis Asmati, Primal Surge. What have we learned? We have learned that I cannot find a 4-player game without someone scooping with this deck. We've learned that it takes a lot of clicking to actually execute the Primal Surge combo in Magic Online. That's not the best. Also, once your opponents know what's coming with this deck, they're going to go out of their way to make sure that you don't resolve Primal Surge. And the way that this deck is built currently, I got blown out by a Ramos control deck earlier where for most of the game, I actually had no permanents on the battlefield other than lands. Literally every creature, artifact, and enchantment I played got destroyed. In that sense, the deck is very clunky mana-wise, and it's hard to get down a couple things in a turn, especially when that's happening if you really can't get any momentum going. But it's a cool deck. It's powerful. That was a turn 6 win right there. The thing that you want to be doing with this deck, you want to be playing it like a combo deck, which means you want to just kind of be sitting back and not really picking too much of a fight with your opponents and trying to avoid getting hit with any spot removal. Now, if that doesn't work, the other thing that we saw is that if you just get Vaevictis Asmati out there early and start attacking with it, you can get rid of your opponent's key permanents before they really have anything big in play. You can take down their mana ramp, can set them back pretty far. On occasion, they'll flip over into something nasty, but I haven't seen too much of that actually happen yet. When you think about how much of your opponent's deck is actually like big nasty creatures, it's not usually that much. With a few exceptions. If you're facing a mono green deck, probably going to be a lot of big creatures in there, but most other combinations of colors, there's probably less than 10 things that are really scary in their deck to flip over permanent wise. So anyway, it's a fun little commander. Had some trouble finding a lifelike game with it, but we got to see how the combo works. I think this deck works better with the element of surprise. Once your opponents know what's coming, it's much harder to actually execute the combo. This deck doesn't function nearly as well. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Yeah. Tastes like Sprite combined with Mountain Dew. Well, I gotta redo this take, so we can't be wasting good vodka. It's not bad. Oh god. Oh god. In the last 10 minutes, I've now had an entire can of Surge and 2 shots of vodka. Ooh.